Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. By now, you know my name is Steve Smith, and I'm your host, and I welcome you to another episode of Dint Golf Solutions Walking the Fairways. And for those of you that are unsure, the Walking the Fairways is the news segment of the podcast where I keep you up to date with what's going on around Australia and New Zealand. We sometimes have little short interview segments with greenkeepers from around Australia and now going across into New Zealand. So there's lots of information coming straight from the horse's mouth with what's happening on golf courses all over the place. And I try and keep you up to date with some design changes, course works, construction, how they're improving their courses, and also who's looking to improve. There's also some appointments of architects, consulting architects or architects that have been engaged by clubs to do work at the golf courses, and also where superintendents have been engaged in new roles or that are retiring from greenkeeping. So lots of different ways to keep you up to date with what's going on at your favourite golf course or one that you're interested in what they're up to indeed out there on the playing surfaces that we so much love playing the sport of golf on. Ladies and gentlemen, we are always excited with Walking the Fairways and talking with partners of the podcast, Dint Golf Solutions. And of course, I have joining me for this little one is Adam Dinty. G'day, Adam. How are you, mate?
I'm good, Steve. How are you?
Very well, thank you, mate. Now, mate, lots have been happening. We've got lots of things to talk about. But, of course, you've recently just told me you've just been down in Canberra. What's going on?
Yeah, mate. Just been down at Canberra for the ACT Association day that they had there at Thoroughbred Park on Tuesday. So that was a fantastic event. They had around 160 people turn out for that. So that was fantastic. And we've been sponsoring those guys for maybe coming up to 10 years now. So it's a great association and they had a really good turnout.
Fantastic, mate. And it's great for you to be out there talking with people and getting to know, some guys that you don't know, catching up with people you've known and had associations with for a long time. So, mate, it's very, very good to hear you're out supporting the industry out there on the ground, doing the hard work and keeping up to date with everyone, mate. Fantastic.
I love doing it, Steve. It's just what I enjoy, so it's great.
Sensational to hear. Now, mate, we always start off with the footy tipping. We want to see how everyone's going on both the ladders, the NRL and the AFL, mate. Let's start off with let's go with the AFL to start. How are things looking at the top of the leaderboard?
Mate, it's very tight. Apollo Bay, 143.
Oh.
And then we've got St Lucia in Queensland and Maroochy River are both tied on 142.
Wow, so the Victorians versus a couple of Queenslanders coming in tight.
Very close.
Very good.
Close.
And how's the NRL ladder looking, mate?
Yeah, Coral is still ahead on 228, but they're actually joint leaders with Russellvale.
Oh, look out. The guys from just down the south in Wollongong region coming in.
And Young. So we've got
country.
We've got a three-way tie on 228, so
that
it's
is
really
amazing.
Getting close.
Oh, talk about a tight run to the finish, mate. They got a number of rounds left, and very exciting stuff, mate. Great to hear, and great to keep everyone updated with the Dint Golf Solutions footy tipping. Now, mate, we wanted to talk, it's Reно's time. I've talked about your tines and things in the past leading up to what's coming into spring and renovations period. You have got something pretty cool. Tell me a bit about this. What mate, I don't even know what it's called in full name.
The Nordic Plough, it's a core collector.
Right.
Comes out straight out of America, something that we picked up at a conference a couple of years ago. But it's really gaining in popularity as more guys are starting to use it at their golf courses. And what we're finding is that it just does such a great job of picking up cores during renovations.
And I've seen, you sent me some photos, I've got some imagery about it, and I'll also share some of those as well for people to have a look at. But the best part of this is it attaches to all the major branded coring machines, so the walk-behind ones, and it just does a one clean sweep behind them and pulls everything to the end of the run, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. And how we came across it, one of our customers a few years ago, Melbourne, had one, and he said this has been a game changer for our renovations. It's makes it so much easier, and his crew are just loving having that on as opposed to following the core collector with shovels and brooms.
Mate, you're bringing back some pretty ordinary memories there of pushing off behind the machines.
So his biggest plus was the feedback he got from his staff during renos, and this core collector, this Nordic Plough one, has has a brush on the back of it as well. So it's magic. It just rubs it in, and
Wow.
there are videos of it that we've got on our website and on our Instagram.
That's brilliant.
And we've got a few in stock still, which is great for renos.
Good stuff leading up to Renault's time. So for everyone out there, get onto the website and have a look at this bit of kit, because it is something that will change the game, mate. And also, you were telling me that, obviously being down in Canberra, someone that we know, friend of the pod as well, as Superintendent Pete Dunnett Federal's got one of these puppies.
Yeah, Pete's got one of these. He's always up with the time. So Pete's got them, and they use them for their renos. And the other thing that you can do with this thing, and why this collector's so good, is that it works really well with like your smaller tines. So when you're using our tiny tines and shines, it actually picks up 80 to 90% of them. So
it doesn't run over the tops. It's just a nice clean pickup instead of them getting lost and sort of going underneath the back edge of it all, which is good.
Correct,
mate. That's fantastic stuff, and we can check this stuff out at your website, which is brilliant.
Absolutely, and on our Instagram, we have posting videos every day.
Yes, no, good stuff. Mate, now I'm going to add one thing in here, because the podcast, the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast, is now branching out. We're going into New Zealand, and we've got some friends in New Zealand that will be coming onto the podcast from time to time, and there's one, before we get into it, there's one coming on this podcast now after we chat, mate, which is brilliant. But for the Kiwi fans over there that like the Dint gear, and for some of the clubs that are looking to improve how they maintain their golf courses and how they present their courses, how do the golf clubs and golf courses in New Zealand look at getting in touch with you guys and getting some gear from you?
Yeah, we do a lot in New Zealand, Steve. A lot of them, the golf courses superintendents, come to us direct, so they can come via our website, or just send me an email, adam@dint.com.au.
Yep.
And just get in touch. But we've been dealing in New Zealand for 15 years now, and we do a lot over there. So always happy to spread our wings and send stuff across.
Good stuff. Great to hear, and great to have the supporters of Dint Golf Solutions on the Golf and Greenkeeper podcast. And we also know that we get the great supporter base from all the listeners and the people in the audience out there listening, mate. So thank you once again, Adam, for all your support on the Golf and Greenkeeper. And can we lead into mate? There's an extended period here. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going around again, mate. We've got another extension on the partnership, which is very exciting.
Yeah, we're thrilled to renew our period with you guys, and so we've had outstanding feedback, Stephen. We're of course really keen on sponsoring someone like yourself, who's doing such a good job for the industry, and just getting out there the word that the course superintendents and course staff are actually doing out on course. I got a lot of people who listen to it who aren't in turf, but golfers who have come to me and commented they hear the podcast and listen to the podcast. And I think it's just such a good way for that message to get across of what the guys are actually doing out there day to day.
Fantastic, mate. Thank you so much to yourself, the team, and everyone at Dint Golf Solutions for the support of the podcast. And we love our partnership. It's going fantastic, and the support that we're getting from the audience and listeners out there is amazing. Thank you, mate.
Absolute pleasure.
And now, we wait no more. This is episode number 138. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start walking the fairways as we step out on the virtual fairways and look at what's going on around the golf landscape across Australia and New Zealand. And we're going to start in the state of Queensland. We're going to Toowoomba City Golf Club, where they see the farewell of longtime superintendent of the club, John Holter, after an epic 31 years of working at the club, 16 of which is as golf course superintendent. An incredibly long career at one club, and a career that should be celebrated and congratulated. So a big farewell to John Holter at Toowoomba City Golf Club after a long time, and incredible news to hear. A long and established career there at Toowoomba. Unbelievable stuff. We move, ladies and gentlemen, to Redcliffe Golf Club, and they're located in Brisbane's northern suburbs at Hayes Inlet, which is at the mouth of Saltwater Creek into the north of Brisbane there. Now, incidentally, Redcliffe is the home of the newest rugby league team, the Dolphins, and I didn't really know where they were because I don't know Brisbane too well, but it's good to know that's where they are. Now, there's plenty of work been going on there at Redcliffe Golf Club, in particular to their new 10th green being built. Now, the design work here has been done by Crafter Mogford, and there's a number of things to be completed at Redcliffe overall, including some more greens, tees, and bunkers. And I'll keep an eye on this project for you and keep you up to date. Now we go to Indooroopilly Golf Club, which is located on the banks of the Brisbane River in Brisbane City itself, and they've recently completed the construction of a spare green off to the side of their 7th hole on the Cootha course, which is actually going to break up the 7th hole into 2 short holes, creating a spare hole for when larger maintenance work is required or larger project work is required on other parts of the golf course. So interesting to see this one. I've seen it from time to time where clubs they don't have room for a spare hole entirely, or even a small par 3 as it were. But if you build a sort of a green off to the side, actually when I was down in Melbourne and I got to play the Commonwealth Golf Club with Superintendent Adam Lamb, their 10th hole has got a green off the side on the outside of the dogleg, par 5 10th, and they turn it into 2 shorter holes. So it's a way of sort of doing it without really creating the space for a small par 3 in a smaller area off the golf course if you don't have room. So Indooroopilly have done that here. It's a full USGA spec green, so it's a proper putting green built to spec, and what it'll do is it will react and play very similar to all the other golf holes on the course that have been built the same way. So it's fantastic to see. As I mentioned, it's something that more and more courses are doing to build a proper green for a spare hole. It's also being grassed with 328 couch, which matches the existing greens on the Cootha course. Now, great stuff to see here at Indooroopilly as they continue to move forward, and I know this is a newly designed Parrot Webb golf course is Indooroopilly. They've done some work there and a master plan done by Parrot Webb, but this probably sets up for me that they might be looking to do some work in the future again. So good stuff to see them building in a spare green, like I mentioned, and Indooroopilly is a fantastic space. So it's a 36-hole facility up there in Brisbane. And I've got a shout-out to Assistant Superintendent Dean Hardman, who's given me the time in the past and shown me some of the works up there at Indooroopilly. So a shout-out to Dean, but great stuff to see Indooroopilly are continuing to do little bits as they go along in between some of this bigger staged work that they are planning on the golf course as a whole. Now we go north. We go north, right up north to Cairns Golf Club, and they've been investing in their machinery fleet, and they're adding some new machinery to the golf course, the maintenance of their golf course there, with a recent addition of a new electric greens roller. Now, if you want to keep delivering quality surfaces, you've got to keep your machinery up to spec, and Cairns Golf Club are doing just that with the addition of this new greens roller out there. And ladies and gentlemen, look, if you've greens rollers are unreal. They're a workhorse, no doubt, on the golf course, getting out there on your putting surfaces, but they can do so many things. Some of them have slicers underneath them. Some of them just do a fantastic job, and you don't always need to use them regularly. Sometimes with machinery in your fleet, you've got to make sure you're on top of them. And I'll say it from time to time again, that it's good to see golf clubs investing in their machinery through the winter periods, which we're seeing, and Cairns Golf Club are doing just that. Now we go to the Sunshine Coast and we go to Mount Coolum Golf Club. Now this is not Palmer Coolum Golf Resort, as the more popularly known golf course that is a former host of the Australian PGA. This is the local public access members course, Mount Coolum Golf Club. Now it's located on the south side of the ever-present Mount Coolum itself. Now they've had some recent course upgrade works completed there on their 9th and 10th holes, including new greens, bunkers, and an entire new wetland built between the 2 holes itself. Now, the 9th is a long par 4 heading due west, and on the return eastbound is a short par 3 10th hole. And that's where the new wetland is located between those two. And it's a great little addition here to Mount Coolum Golf Club. Good stuff to see what's happening up there to a golf course that's probably lesser known and maybe a little bit more forgotten. I don't think I'm being rude there in saying that, but anyone who talks about from outside the Sunshine Coast, you talk about golf up there at Mount Coolum, they'll just automatically go to Palmer Coolum. But this is Mount Coolum Golf Club, so I just thought hearing about some of these works here was good to shine a light on another fantastic golf course that I'm sure is worth going up there to visit and get around to play. It looks sensational on Google Earth, having a look at the golf course. And some of these works here, just great little additions. And the 10th looks like a sensational par 3 with this wetland now. And there's some drainage work that's been done there too. And they're building the bunkers with the latest methods and bunker liners and all that sort of stuff. So Mount Coolum Golf Club, they're not cutting corners here. They're doing things properly and engaging contractors to do the work. Great stuff to see happening once again, like I mentioned, there at Mount Coolum Golf Club. Now we go a little bit further to the north, but staying on the Sunshine Coast, and that is to Noosa Springs Golf Resort. And they've been busy having a stack of tees built, or rebuilt, on their golf course, as I should say. Now, good to see leading up to the growing season, when they will get a kick along in temperatures as they start to rise, that these new tees will grow in well. And positive improvements happening up there at Noosa Springs Golf Resort. So all these things happening on some of these courses, they're getting ready for the growing season ahead, and they're finishing these works off just right on time, so that as temperatures warm up coming into spring, they'll get a real kick along, and it's a perfect time to finish up these projects. So great stuff to see with a bit of work happening around the Sunshine Coast up there in Queensland. Now we continue anti-clockwise, ladies and gentlemen, around Australia. We head west to Western Australia. And the first bit of news is an upcoming event there for the Golf Course Superintendents of Western Australia. Now, the GCSA WA have their state conference coming up in just under 2 weeks. The dates that it's going to be held are on 17th of August to the 20th of August. Now, it's being held at Margaret River at the River Hotel is where it's based, and there's going to be a stack of wonderful presenters that will be giving some amazing talks, including Sandy Reid, Director of Greenkeeping at the one and only St Andrews Links in Scotland. Adam Marchant from Royal Sydney Golf Club is heading over there. Adam Marchant from Royal Sydney Golf Club is heading over there to do a talk. Jason Kelly from Royal Fremantle Golf Club will be there doing a talk. Callum Hitching from Karratha up in the northern parts of Western Australia. Roger Innes from Kalgoorlie Golf Course will be there also having a talk. And Shane Baker from Mossman Park, who's also the president of the Golf Course Superintendents Association there in WA. And also there will be the general manager of Royal Perth Golf Club, Craig Ridge, who will be doing a talk, among others. So there's a stack of other people that will be involved during this event, and it's a fantastic one, no doubt. Delegates will also be playing at the fantastic Margaret River Golf Club. So a fantastic event for those of you who are already organised and ready to go. It's going to be another wonderful event over there in WA. They do it so well, and I've been chatting obviously with President of the Association, Shane Baker, and he's been giving me some of the details. So it's very exciting for everyone in Western Australia and those who are heading there to be involved, and I hope you enjoy a wonderful time. I'm sure you will down at the Margaret River region. Not hard to do so everyone will have a wonderful time. Now, also in WA, a couple of things have been happening, certainly most recently regarding the weather. There's been so much rain going on in southwest WA, and I can't say it hasn't been asked for, certainly, but like most rain in Australia, and as the one and only Dorothy McKellar wrote in her famous poem, My Country, a land of sweeping plains, of ragged mountain ranges, of droughts and flooding rains. And that's certainly what it's been over there in the southwest corner recently. They've had 400 and something mil in the last couple of months. It's been quite staggering, and has certainly come in bursts of heavy rainfall. There's no doubt about it. Lots of people dealing with lots of localised flooding areas on course. Courses have been closed from time to time to deal with the amount of water that's been coming down in periods. And look, it's a welcome relief. It'll certainly do a lot to replenish the groundwater supplies over there in the southwestern corner of WA. And there's a lot going on. Some of the details, in fact, of lots of this work, you've seen Bustleton Golf Club, for example. It's been closed, and lots of flooding from time to time, lots of repair work from the heavy waters that I've been sharing around on socials. And one of those also is Dunsborough Lakes Golf Club. They've received a bit of storm damage too after just this weekend's wild weather, and there's been a bit of tree cleanup work that's got to be done this week on course, with a big tree coming down there on course, and plenty of other debris that's been brought down out of the canopy of a lot of trees. And no doubt Dunsborough isn't the only course with tree damage out there on the back of this wild weather, so please be patient, as many of the clubs will have lots of debris and mess along with larger cleanup work being done during this week, ladies and gentlemen. So please be patient out there on course, but they will always be working hard to get the courses ready for the golfers of you out there that are listening. Now we're going to come east all the way back to the east coast, and we're going to the ACT, and a little bit of news coming out from Murrumbidgee Golf Club, and they've been investing in their machinery as part of preparing for the season ahead, and they've got a brand new rough mower that's been delivered recently to the golf club. Now the funny thing about rough mowers is that they just keep on keeping on. They're the workhorse of the fleet, and they just keep racking up hours week in, week out, and before you know it, they've done 3,000 to 4,000 hours because there's not often a day when they're not being used. So they rack up hours very, very quickly. And before you know it, you've got a rough mower that's in need of a lot of repairs or indeed replacement. So it's one thing you've got to be very conscious of, staying on top of your machinery and making sure that you've got a good working fleet and a fleet that's going to be a reliable fleet, which is what you need. Something that you need very much on any working golf course. And again, great to see Murrumbidgee Golf Club in the ACT looking after their machinery. Now we go to New South Wales, ladies and gentlemen, and there's been a fair bit going on in New South Wales. And a story at the moment has been the stacks of rain in just this past week along the Upper Hunter and the Northern Tablelands, causing lots of flooding in many parts around that region, certainly into Scone, in parts of Tamworth and Narrabri. Just shy of major flooding in Gunnedah, and the Hunter River at Denman has also been just shy of major flooding there, and like I mentioned, near Scone was also just shy of major flooding level. There's been minor flooding in Tamworth and a few other areas around. So lots of rainfall coming down in those areas, and certainly a good winter replenish of a lot of dams, even though most of them have been reasonably full. If you go upstream of Tamworth, the dam at Lake Keepit is now overflowing, and Split Rock as well, which is nearly full. And for a long time, I can remember both those dams, particularly Split Rock. You go back sort of 15 years, they were just sitting below 10% for years on end. So it's great to see a setup for great water security leading into summer ahead for the Peel River region. Lots of rainfall does a little bit of damage when there's flooding. There's no two ways about it, but what it does do is set them up. It's at the right time, setting them up for the season ahead for lots of farmers as well. Then on top of that, there was also the unusual weather extreme with widespread snow falling and settling on the northern tablelands, from Bendemeer pushing north all the way through Armidale, Guyra and Glen Innes, and east over to Ebor on Waterfall Way, and west to Inverell, and also the awesome little town of Tinga. I also saw some images of snowfall on the top of Mount Caputar, which is over towards Narrabri, which is very unusual as well. Lots of heavy snowfalls recorded around the 30 centimetre mark, which is about a foot in the old scale around Armidale. And I posted a video of snow falling at Armidale Golf Club, and it was certainly quite incredible to see. Now, the interesting thing that most people don't know or realise about what happens when there's lots of snow in regions that aren't used to it. Well, snow settles on things, and when it's a heavy snowfall that settles, it gets very heavy, that accumulated snow. And with that weight on trees, lots of branches and things start to break, including entire trees. Needless to say, at the Armidale Golf Club, there's lots of damage on course, and they now need to clean up after a splash of a winter wonderland. And that's unfortunately the downside of such a magical event when you don't often get it, because, ladies and gentlemen, the trees and the foliage and everything that happens in a non-regular snowfall part of the country, the branches, things don't grow used to that weight. The plants and the tree types that are growing there aren't used to growing in those alpine regions where snow falls and settles and accumulates weight. So they don't grow strong in that regard, and they will break and fall. And that's certainly what we've seen at Armidale Golf Club. The other thing that happens is when those trees fall in and around the township, they often fall onto power lines. Much like a storm and winds that bring down branches and trees, snow does the same. And there's been lots of power outages in and around the Northern Tableland, certainly around Armidale, Guyra and so on. And I just saw a post on social media today with Armidale Golf Club, incidentally, who has power, has put a notice up for the public, for those who still don't have power and therefore don't have hot water, that if you wanted to have a hot shower, you could go and use the club's facilities, which was very kind of them to put that public notice out there for people who are doing it tough because, geez, it's been cold and if you don't have power and you don't have hot water, it's nothing better than a nice hot shower. Some of the simple things and privileges that we see day in, day out that we do get accustomed to. If you don't have power, it's a nice thing that Armidale put up there as a public service for the local community. Now, over to Merriweather Golf Club near Newcastle, and a part of all this weather, they were a club that had damage to their clubhouse with parts of the roof collapsing and caving in from the heavy rain. So lots of things happening. There's lots of unreported things. That these are just some of the things that I did come across, ladies and gentlemen. So with all of these interesting weather events happening in New South Wales, this rainfall and this snow and all sorts of stuff, there are downsides, unfortunately, but you've got to take it all as it comes along. We go to Woolooware Golf Club, located in Sydney South, ladies and gentlemen, and for those that don't know it, it's down by Cronulla. It's where it's located. Now, they've been busy on course rebuilding their 16th tees. They've built 4 new tee pads as part of this new rebuild for the 16th hole, and it's just some of the updates that are going on course, and it's good to see a place like Woolooware. I don't often speak about it, don't hear much about what they're up to down there, but it's good to see that Woolooware is doing some work to improve their golf course. And obviously the 16th tees, when you see a golf course rebuilding these, that's something that they've identified. It's for a reason to rebuild. It's usually to do with wear and tear on the surfaces that was a problem. So this is how they've gone about fixing it up at Woolooware. They've gone through the rebuild process, and it looks fantastic what they've done on course. So congratulations to the team on course and the club at Woolooware Golf Club in Sydney South. Now we go to the public golf facility on the Northern Beaches, that is Warringah Golf Club, and they have announced plans submitted for a new clubhouse to be built. Now the old clubhouse that they did use, that they stopped using a couple of years ago, and it's a weird little space there for Warringah because the golf course is split by 2 major roads in the Northern Beaches area, and the clubhouse isn't actually on the land of the golf course. It's across one of the main roads. So it was a real little unusual thing that you had to navigate to get over to the clubhouse. It was a little bit disjointed, unfortunately. And over the years, they've decided that it's not going to work for them anymore. They've got a really big pro shop precinct area with a couple of buildings there on site, which they've been using temporarily in a sense, as it were. But what the club has put forward, and it's a public golf course, so it's It's a community club. And what's been put forward is that part of the process is they've sold off the old clubhouse, and the new plans have been submitted for an entirely new building to be built on the same paddock of the golf course. And that's on the northern side of the western paddock. There's 2 halves to the golf course, split by sort of a little link road, if you like, between the 2 major roads. And it's on the opposite corner to where the pro shop area is. It's going to be a multi-use community centre, and it will get plenty of action for this as part of this new building. So great to see a great local community asset on the Northern Beaches. And it wasn't that long ago that Warringah was actually being considered to pack it all up as a golf course and do something else with the landscape for other sports. But it was realised that it was worth keeping the golf course because it's one of the busiest golf courses in all of Sydney. Being a public golf course, you can barely get a spot out there. I think it's only beaten, to be honest, by Moore Park, to be fair. So great things happening at Warringah Golf Club with this new clubhouse. And looks like the future, indeed, for at least the short term, of Warringah Golf Club has been secured with this new clubhouse being built as part of the golf club as well. Now, some more clubhouse news. There's a bit of clubhouse news going on at the moment that I've come across. So more clubhouse news is this time coming from Bingara Gorge down in Sydney Southwest. And they finally announced their new clubhouse. And look, so it's a bit of a milestone for Bingara Gorge, and hopefully we can see it continue to snowball for them and continue to improve as part of their new golf course. And with this announcement of the new clubhouse, we look forward to Bingara Gorge being completely finished up in the not too distant future, and everything being done as they'd hoped from the outset. There's lots of things to work through in new golf courses, and Bingara has certainly had their challenges in recent times, but they're always moving forward to get ever closer to a fully finished and complete golf course as part of what they had originally envisaged at Bingara Gorge. Now, the final piece of info that I've got as part of the clubhouse stuff is down at the public golf course at Marrickville, and they've recently secured federal government support for a $6 million rebuild of their clubhouse down there at Marrickville. Big news for the locally supported Marrickville Golf Club. Now, for those that don't know Marrickville, it winds. It's a beautifully located golf course. It winds its way along the banks of the Cooks River, not too far away from Sydney Airport. So it's right in the heart of the city, basically. And it's far from a long golf course. I looked into it. I've not been to Marrickville. It's one that I really would like to get to have a good look at it on the ground myself. It is a par 60 for 18 holes, and it measures just around 4,000 metres or so. So it's really interesting. A really interesting golf course available in Sydney for people to play. It's a public golf course run by the council. And one of the things that they do have, so apart from it being an unusual par 60, it does have a very good local supporter base. And they have things like Orion's Big Backyard, which is an outdoor live music setup on the turf, which is a bit of a local hit as far as I understand it down there at Marrickville. So if you're a local to Marrickville, there's some big news happening with their clubhouse, and good to see some more investment into public golf offerings in and around Sydney. Ladies and gentlemen, I am really excited for Walking the Fairways. We have got a special guest coming on, and it's a first. It's a first for the Golf and Greenkeeper podcast, and that is we are going across the ditch, as it were, proverbially, and to New Zealand, where I have got the first New Zealand guest that's currently in New Zealand working. And I big welcome to Harry Middleton, the superintendent at Muriwai Golf Links. G'day, Harry. How are you?
Hey, Steve. I'm good, thanks. How about yourself?
Mate, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for jumping on the pod, mate. This is a new one, and you're carrying the flag and waving it very high, mate. I can tell you that right now. No pressure.
Yeah, I'm feeling the pressure a little bit. I'm sure I'll be sweet.
No, mate, it's all good. It's great to have you. It's great to have you on the pod, mate. And we're going to put. Look, I've been looking into a little bit of Muriwai over the last few years, and mate, can you give us a bit of an idea of it? It's got some unique features, and we'll probably touch on some of those. But mate, for everyone listening, tell us a bit about where you're located and sort of what the landscape is for Muriwai.
Yeah, before I get too far into it, Steve, I'd just like to say it's a pleasure to be on the pod, and you're doing a great job putting a lot of places on the map and talking to a lot of great greenkeepers. So, no, it's pretty cool to have blokes like yourself doing what you're doing. So, yeah, keep it up. It's cool.
Thank you. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it.
No worries. Muriwai, it's sort of located on the west coast of Auckland. Yeah, to be fair, I didn't really know too much about the place before I started here about 16 months ago. But, it's black sand coastal property right on the beach. So, it's got some pretty cool features, some dunes, and it has had a bit of rerouting over the years, bit of coastal erosion about 30 years ago, which led to a bit of sort of rerouting, unfortunately, away from the coast. But, some reinstatement of the dunes maybe are going to allow us to re-venture into those zones in the future and, see what we can do, really.
Unreal, mate. And it's funny because what got my attention a few years ago was, and I'll mention him, Airswing Media, Nick Wall from Airswing Media was doing some work with the club, and I'd seen some of the work that he had put out, and Nick and I know each other. And I remember seeing you talked about the black sand. I remember seeing some of those darker bunkers. And it's not the grey stuff that we get in the sandbelt down here in Melbourne. It's actually quite dark. It's quite dark indeed. Black sand is the best way to describe it. It's really unique.
Yeah, it gives you a real cool contrast, especially we're trying to sort of, when they rerouted the golf course, obviously they had to move it inland a bit and it was a forest. So they've sort of scalped out maybe 6 or 7 of the front 9 sort of new holes and had to replant. I'm not sure if it was part of the deal with the council or whatever it was at the time, but they've sort of had to plant out. So we're just sort of trying to shape the holes. So now now the holes are a bit more established and the land's sort of going good. We're starting to try and unveil those dunes again, sort of thing. And the black sand gives us a great contrast from the Kaikuyu. We're a Kaikuyu side. The black sand gets so hot, a lot of other grasses struggle without the maintenance. Sort of, it's not extremely different, but it is a bit different to the East Coast, where I'd imagine the canopy temperature still gets up there, but the black sand really radiates the heat, eh?
Yeah, that's unreal. That's unique challenges make unique stuff.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
standout feature, like I said, of Muriwai. So anyone who's travelling to New Zealand or Kiwis in New Zealand are travelling around, if you've never been up that way, certainly one to consider. But mate, let's talk about some of the work that you've been doing on course to improve, and that's some of the stuff that I've seen on socials. And we did catch up briefly. You were over here in Sydney for the ASTMA conference, which was great to meet you in person. And mate, so some of the stuff you mentioned to me, I know you've been posting about the 10th surrounds, the bunker work there on 10. You've also done work on 9 and 1 as well. Can you run us through some of that stuff you've been doing?
yeah. So sort of to take it back a notch, when I started here, the club had just sort of interacted with Phil Taurangi, the ex-golf pro now,
Yep.
golf course architecture. He's done some great work in New Zealand, and it's great to see some Kiwis really stepping up into the sort of architecture world. So
Yeah.
the club had just sort of linked up with him. It was one of the reasons I actually looked into the role a bit more, sort of thing. You know, they were serious on improving, and they'd already had some brief discussions. And when I first sort of started, they said, like, what do you really think we need to do to sort of take that next step? We've got some great links in New Zealand, like Paraplanu Beach and obviously Taraiti and stuff. And I just said to really compete with those golf courses. A warm season grass right around the greens doesn't really play links. You sort of get to your ball anywhere from, I don't know, 100 metres in, and it's screaming links golf, you know, using the
Yep.
contours and playing chip and runs. And just unfortunately with the Kaiku, you could to some extent get it firm, but you just couldn't get it to react like the greens. And I think a lot of the really good golfers would land a ball, say 1 foot short of the green, and it stops dead. And then if we have the greens firm, it's reacting like a links golf green.
It
So the
it's really,
contrast was a
yeah.
bit too different.
It's a really interesting way you describe that, because that's a challenge. That's a Sydneyism over here. It's very much a
Yeah,
Sydneyism. Is a lot of the
yeah,
established courses, more the lower end courses, not the high end full privates, that they've got that Kaikuyu fairway running right up to the green surrounds and to green edges, and it really does deaden
yeah,
the ball when a ball lands on that really spongy, thick grass with the stolons that are there in the kike. It stops it dead. It's almost like it plugs, isn't it? And it's a really hard thing
yeah,
to get a consistent golf experience around the green when you're trying to run a ball up to greens that are built in a certain way and shape. It changes golf architecture completely. So, interesting thing you pointed out in the way you described it, mate. Well done.
So that was sort of one of the main reasonings behind what I thought would really take Muriwai to like the next step. So I just sort of, for a few months, sort of played around with ideas in my head and chatted to Phil. And this is my first job as superintendent, and I just thought like spraying the koku out and reseeding it would work, but the repercussions to the golfers, the disruption and stuff like that was just sort of where I am in my career. I probably didn't want to go down that track. You know, maybe if I had a bit more experience and had results in the past, I would have looked at that. But I decided to sort of spray out one of our driving ranges. Our greens are just a colonial bent grass sort of mixed brown top,
Yep.
old school, and they seem to work really well in this climate. So I just sowed out like 4,000 squares of brown top, and we had an AGM sort of in December and really wanted to showcase to them what I see the golf course looking like going forward. So, yeah, the idea was to turf out 1 and 9 surround, just about 15 metres out from the front, and do all around the greens and stuff like that. And then, yeah, use the turf from the driving range and sort of just have that instant effect, and playability was just there instantly sort of thing.
Yeah. Wow.
Some people thought I was mad, but I just thought it was the best way at the time, sort of thing, to put my point across. And yeah, luckily it all went well. The growing went well, and we did have the driest summer forever, it felt like.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
keeping the turf alive was it wasn't a challenge, but you sort of just had to be on top of your game, sort of thing. So
Sure.
yeah, that was sort of the main reasoning behind doing that. And it just gave us also a chance to, if there was any areas that Phil thought he could improve whilst we have the turf up, like any green extensions or surrounds extensions, or just even like the traffic areas. Every golf course has those pinch points
Yep.
and stuff like
Yep.
that, just to try and minimise them, or any bunker work. So it's sort of given us an opportunity to look at each hole at a time and really get stuck into them.
That's exciting, mate. Great stuff and well planned. Like, it's one thing to spray out grasses and then seed in situ in that area, and like you said, disruption of golf. But you've got an area that's away from the regular play that you utilised, and you plan for it. I mean, that's a good way to do those projects in that it's solid turfing it out. You've got an instant result, quick grow in, so the downtime for golf on the golf course is very minimal, and people get instant results. And I think it's a great, well planned out exercise. So well done, well executed.
Yeah.
You've got
Yeah.
Sorry, mate, go on.
No, I just said it had gone to plan, and I think going forwards, it's given us sort of like a bit of confidence from the members, now that they can see.
Yep.
Because it's always hard when a process takes like 6 months, people sort of get sick of it, whereas now they can see the end result, what we're trying to achieve. I feel like the pressure's sort of come off a little bit. If thing was to go a bit skew-with, then they're sort of like, well, we'll get to 1 and 9 and 10 now eventually. So, yeah.
No, and you've got runs on the board, so it does help as you move forward, and then you've also gained experience. The team's gained experience how to grow it in, how long things take, different weather things that you've experienced in those growing times. So, mate, very good. And there's some bunker work as well. How do you go about your bunkers? What are you doing there with the construction wise? I saw some of the work on 10.
Yeah, so I'm no golf course architect. I play golf, so I'm like any golfer. Feel like you know how to design a golf course, but it's been great. I've sort of chatted to architects in the past and people that know a lot more about architecture than I do, but it's been great working with Phil Tartarangi and just like the thought process behind where bunkers should be and shouldn't be and stuff like that, where traffic goes and how to utilise all the slopes and stuff. So we are very heavily bunkered golf course. We've got 72 bunkers, and I feel a lot of them were put in, again, a lot of bunkers, to put in to sort of shape the holes when they were built rather than sort of letting it grow in and stuff like that. It was sort of like, I think a lot of golf courses do that. I worked at the Hills a bit, and we ended up removing a lot of the tussocks that shape the holes at the start. Golf courses evolve and stuff. So
sure.
I think it's probably time that we can remove a few, and we've got a few other features here and there that can sort of help those mounds and where bunkers were. So yeah, it's just working with Phil and just sort of repositioning them into areas that will affect the better golfers and maybe give the less so golfers an easier route to the hole if they think about where they place their ball and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's very good, mate. It's interesting to hear, like you say, you're talking to an architect, someone who's there designing golf courses, and Philip's got some work that he's obviously been done in the past and now working there at Muriwai. So you're gaining experience by talking to him, seeing how that works as well, which is fantastic. Those sorts of experiences, unfortunately, not every superintendent gets to have those conversations and do that work working together with. So, mate, great stuff that you're getting under your belt as well, and mate, good to see. I'll share some of the photos around as well of some of the work you've done, which will be great once this gets published. It'll be good to showcase some of the stuff you've been doing.
Yeah, for sure. No, definitely. It's good to be part of a project and a club that want to improve. So, it's exciting times, and hopefully we get the opportunity to maybe explore some of the old golf holes and see what we can come up with there in the future maybe.
Have you got much planned for the future moving forward? Anything sort of set in a timeline at all?
Better be careful what I say here.
No, that's okay. You don't need to put anything in concrete.
Yeah.
So maybe even just some of the places that you're looking to move to.
Yeah. So there's definitely areas on the front nine that sort of what we've done on 1, 9, and 10 would really benefit from. So I think in the short term we'll definitely venture down that route. Just keep. We're sort of doing tees and and greens, trying to get we use the word like transition a lot better. Like sometimes when you play an amazing links course, you sometimes wonder, am I on the green or am I on the surround?
Yep,
It's just
yep,
that
sure.
transition, the blend. So trying to implement that a lot, not having those distinct lines everywhere and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll just chip away at that for the next 18 months, probably to 3 years, and then hopefully we can really dive into the old course, which a lot of members really love. So it's not really building new holes. I guess it's just reinstating old options where
Yep.
they've replanted all the dunes and they're actually getting bigger. So
Yeah, wow.
it's really promising to see. Yeah.
Mate, one thing I want to touch on, and it's probably you mentioned it at the very beginning, and I don't know a lot about, and we don't hear a lot about this sort of stuff over in New Zealand. We hear it here certainly a lot, and that's erosion. You mentioned there's some of the erosion that's happened a while ago. Is that how severe was that? Do you know?
I've talked to a few members and stuff like that, and they have sort of had most of the holes run across the coastline itself, like literally 30, 40 meters max from the ocean edge sort of thing. And I guess just different times of year and stuff, we get pretty exposed by the westerly winds and stuff like that. So golf holes were sort of getting destroyed, I guess, sort of thing, sand blowing over them, and just places were moving. So I guess the golf course just thought the safest option at the time was to move things and do it properly, which they did a great job. I mean, they've got no chance of losing any golf holes at the moment. So they've had time to reinstate them. I think it was help with everyone in the area, the council, the golf club, and now they're doing continual planting and managing of the dunes. So it's really helped. But the old corridors are still there. Like, there's still bunkers, there's still fairways. Like, I think the construction.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. If you take one of the old guys out, they can just pinpoint, this is a green, and you can see it. So the old holes, if we were ever to dive into them, the construction would be 10 times easier, I'd imagine, than building a golf course out of a forest or something,
Yeah, sure. And that was that recent erosion, or was that a while ago that was occurring? How long ago do you know?
Not ages. The front nine and the rerouting's been in there about 20 to 30 years, so it's not like old sort of thing.
Yep.
So there's a few guys that have still played both, which is pretty cool to have them around and stuff like that. It's good knowledge to have.
Fantastic stuff, mate. Harry, that's a really good insight into some of the stuff you've been up to. Very exciting times for Muriwai and yourself. Like you mentioned, first-time superintendent. Congratulations on that along the way. And, mate, really exciting for yourself moving forward, a club that's showing promise, and they're obviously planning to do things to improve their golf course, and that doesn't happen by accident. That's good management, that's good leadership, and the fact that you've got involved with the club at this time, and they've got someone like Philip involved in the design work, and mate, it's very promising, and looking forward to seeing how it unfolds there at Muriwai, mate. I really appreciate you jumping on the pod, and mate, I look forward to following and sharing more of your stuff through the Golfing Greenkeeper, mate. Thank you so much for joining in on the podcast.
No, thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me on, and look forward to maybe hearing a few more Kiwis or elsewhere on the channel.
Mate, that's the plan. Good stuff. Thank you for being number one, mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Thank you.
Now we jump back to the mainland of Australia, and we're going into Victoria, ladies and gentlemen, where there's a little bit of news coming from Yarra Yarra Golf Club on Melbourne Sandbelt, and they've got a bit happening there with the reconstruction of their entire practice fairway facility. It's a big exercise with this one, and I do know that Harley Cruz has recently been doing work there with his new vegetation plan that's being completed as part of this rebuild. So a bit of a busy time happening at Yarra Yarra for their practice facility, and I know they are going hammer and tongs and completing this fantastic project for the golf club. Now we go, ladies and gentlemen, to Tasmania, the island states, and a little bit of news coming from Ocean Dunes on King Island, and they've been doing some upgrades to their machinery fleet ready for the season ahead, and that includes a delivery received of a new greens mower and a fairway mower. Now, along with their new clubhouse that's coming along, they're investing heavily into the golf facility that's there at Ocean Dunes, and good stuff happening at Ocean Dunes on King Island, and we continue to see investment to the golf courses there from their respective ownerships. Now we go, ladies and gentlemen, to Tasmania Golf Club, where I've received a little bit of info and some photos from Superintendent Ben Stacey, who I've had not too long ago on Walking the Fairways. Now, he sent me some information about some work they've been completing on course to their fourth hole, and that includes putting in 3 new fairway bunkers being built on the left-hand side of the hole and rebuilding the greenside bunkers while they're at it. So there's lots of work happening here on some bunker work on the fourth hole. Now, on top of that, they've also been doing some irrigation upgrades around the green itself of the fourth. So there's plenty going on at Tasmania Golf Club. And like I said, when Ben Stacey was on chatting about the work, look, Tasmania is like a number of other places down there in Hobart. They're improving themselves. And as far as I see it, it's very timely moving into that point where 7 Mile Beach is soon to open up in full. So, look, ladies and gentlemen, there's fantastic golf offerings around Hobart and lots of the other places around the 7 Mile Beach beacon that it is that's going to be opening up soon that's getting a lot of attention. So don't just look at 7 Mile. If you're considering going down there for 7 Mile Beach, look at a lot of the other golf courses and golf offerings that are around there in Hobart. There's some fantastic places, and not just the big ones like the Tasmanias and the Royal Hobarts. Go and have a look at places like Northwest Bay as well that I've had former Superintendent Brad Palmer on chatting about there. So there's lots of different places to look at, lots of different golf offerings, and they're all fantastic. So make sure if you're getting down to Hobart, you look at a broad range of different things that you can look at, not just the shining light and the exciting project that is 7 Mile Beach, ladies and gentlemen. So a big thank you to Superintendent Ben Stacey for sharing that one with me so I can share it with you, of course. Now we go to some appointments, an architecture appointment that I've recently received some info from, and that is Clayton de Vries Pont along with Cruise Golf have recently been appointed consulting architects to Portsea Golf Club down on the Mornington Peninsula. So look forward to seeing what's happening or what's going to happen in the near future there as part of this appointment. And of course, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, Clayton de Vries Pont and Cruise Golf are also consulting to Sorrento Golf Club, which is not too far away from Portsea. And we finish off, ladies and gentlemen, with a superintendent's appointment. I've seen some news and a congratulations to Superintendent Wes Cochran of now the Richmond Golf Club in Western Sydney. Now, Wes comes from a long time working previously at Riverside Oaks, which is not too far away from Richmond, and he now makes a move across to Richmond Golf Club. So congratulations to Wes, the new superintendent at Richmond Golf Club, who will be leading the team there, and look forward to seeing some fantastic stuff happening there at Richmond, which is certainly one of the oldest golf clubs in Sydney. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, a fantastic insight into what's happening across Australia and in New Zealand. And a big thank you to Superintendent Harry Middleton from Muriwai Golf Links over there in the North Island of New Zealand. Great to get an insight as to what they're up to and just a little bit more detail about the wonderful golf course there at Muriwai. It looks fantastic on social media and on their website, and have a look at all things to do with their imagery that's coming out, and I'm really interested about it. So was no better way to learn a little bit more about what they're up to on course specifically, and a little bit more detail about the golf course itself, than to talk to the superintendent who is maintaining the golf course there in Harry Middleton. So thank you again, Harry, for a wonderful insight, and appreciate you being the first New Zealand superintendent on the podcast that's currently working over there in New Zealand. Fantastic stuff. Now, ladies and gentlemen, regarding the podcast, don't forget to reach out to me on social media. If you want to get in touch with me, you're part of a golf club or you're working on the golf course and you want to let me share out there into the world of the podcast listeners in the golf space about how you're improving your golf course, where you're working, or which one you're passionate about and what they're up to, please pass it on to me. Just get in touch with me through social media, the Golfing Greenkeeper on Instagram or Facebook, or indeed LinkedIn as well, Steve Smith. If you want to find me there, you can let me know what's going on. You can tag me, or you can send me an email to thegolfinggreenkeeper@gmail.com. so I can share to everyone listening how you're improving your golf course and what you're up to. Doesn't matter where you are in Australia or New Zealand, small club or big, I'm here to share how you are improving your golf course and how you're working hard to make it better for everyone out there who plays golf and enjoys the golf space, and how we want to attract and get people to go and visit different places as well and experience different golf courses as well. Of course, a big thank you to partner and an extension of our partnership to Dint Golf Solutions, and a big thank you there for their amazing partnership that continues to grow here on the Golf and Greenkeeper podcast. We're big fans, and I'm a big fan of their work at Dint Golf Solutions, and also they're big fans of supporting our industry, as you've heard with my chat there briefly with Adam Dinty. And of course, good luck to everyone as they continue with the AFL and NRL footy tipping competitions that Dint are running. And don't forget to check out their website, of course, ladies and gentlemen, for all their products available at dint.com.au. So make sure you follow them on their social media, on Instagram and Facebook, Dint Golf Solutions on Facebook and dint.golf.solutions on Instagram. Stay tuned, stay up to date with all the things. Please like, share and subscribe to the Golf and Greenkeeper podcast on your favourite podcast app, and pass it around to anyone you think might be interested in hearing all of these different bits of information about what's going on in the industry. You hit 'em clean, we'll keep 'em green, and I'll catch up with you very soon.